Hey everybody, we're back live from Bulger Park, Veterans Park District, Melrose Park. Championship game of the SSA 2019 Men's 50 and Over National Championship Tournament between the undefeated highlight team, who has just been smoking the ball this entire tournament, and it's a rematch of the winner's bracket championship game between the highlights and Down and Dirty. Highlights won that 15-5. And Down and Dirty came back late to beat Reed Plumbing Takers by a deuce, as they had a big rally in that ball game. So here's the leadoff man, first batter of the ball game, and he takes a strike to start. We'll get Kelly's lineup for Down and Dirty very shortly. And there's a swing and a little roller. Greg Paulson at third. Joe Rogers can't hold on at first. We got our first base runner of this national championship game. Of course, last year, this tournament went to the if game, and we had two exciting games that were back and forth. Here comes Craig now, hitting second. Of course, Craig plays with the Silent Assassin. It's been a pretty good competitive tournament. A lot of close games, some high-scoring games. So we're going to be crowning a national champion, and again, for the third year in a row that we've run this event, we're going to have a new national champion, as nobody's been able to repeat. And he pounds that on the ground. Mike Reese over to Chris, safe at first. Of course, Craig left-handed, got a little bit of an advantage running down the box. And here's Bay hitting in the three-hole. So man on first, one out here. Top of the first. This is the first national championship game. Just give me the second copy, the yellow one. And Reese knocks that down. Okay, thank you. So here comes the first baseman, D-Hop, or W-Hop. Runner at second now with two outs. Base hits got an opportunity to give Down and Dirty the first lead of this national championship game. That's hit right over to second, and that'll be our end of the top of the first. No score, highlights coming to bat. National championship on the line here. So coming up here for the highlights, Greg Paulson, Chris Tim, anybody gets on, Joe. So it's been a very good competitive tournament. We're going to be walking around here. There's Mickey Balestri keeping score. There's Bill. I won't even attempt his last name. Of course, Rich and Joe. And we got Doc and Jerry Brown over there. So the Takers have taken up position down the right field line. They're hanging out, watching the tournament. So, of course, Melrose Park, always a fun place to come. Again, we're going to thank them for Richie Arico, all the hard work he did. And that was probably the best offensive performance we've seen out of Down and Dirty, as they dismiss Reed Plumbing Takers, who finished third, Dirty Sock finishing fourth. So good runs by both of those teams. And one of these two teams is going to be the men's 2019 50 and over national champion. So here's Greg Paulson. He's not your atypical leadoff man, a little bit bigger and stronger than you see a lot of leadoff guys, but he does a good job of getting on base. So it's been a really good event. Caught a break here. There's supposed to be some rain rolling in, but it's very pleasant right now. And there's a line drive off the pitcher, and that's going to sneak into center field for a leadoff hit for Gary Paulson. And here comes Joe Nixon, who's hitting 11th and playing center field. Since there's nobody out, he'll be the courtesy runner. Here comes Chris Paulson. Couple of the highlight guys giving Joe a little grief because he got thrown out trying to go first to third in the winner's bracket championship game. good-natured, of course. So we hope you're enjoying the coverage today, as me and George Bliss have been splitting the duties up a little bit. And Chris swings and hits a little ground ball, and that's going to sneak through first and second. That's going to bring up Timmy Bulger. So, again, we talked about the fact that the highlights offense has been relentless in this tournament. And right out of the gate, they put their first two batters on base. So Timmy Bulger here, chance to put the highlights up here. And again, down and dirty. And there's a long fly ball. Left fielder got a bead, a little basket catch. Both runners will tag in advance. Second and third with one out. So here's Joe Rogers. That's not a bad job there by Bulger. He's trying to hit a gap. Hit it a long way, a little too high up in the air, allowed the left fielder to make the easy catch, but deep enough to allow both runners to advance. And here's Joe Rogers. He's been hot as a firecracker on the 4th of July in this tournament. Of course, Joe just really swings a big, heavy bat, and even though he's over 50, he still gets it through the zone pretty quick.
Think about a double tag.
With Joe on deck. And Rogers swings and hits a high fly ball, and the center fielder drifted in. It gets over the top. 2 runs are in. Joe Rogers, bad knee and all, is going to limp into third base with a stand-up triple. So Joe Rogers, he's very deceptive because he tomahawks the ball, and when he strikes it, he's hitting down on the ball. He likes the ball upstairs, and he gets underspin, and his ball tends to carry. And the center fielder at first thought it was going to be an easy fly ball, and that ball just took off. There's 2 ways of doing that. And here's Joe, the left fielder, with another run standing at third base with one out here. There's 2 ways of doing it. One is that tomahawk when you strike the ball up high, and you get that what we call underspin. The other way is if you take the baseball swing, and there's a high, long fly ball, and that's going to beat the left fielder 3-0. And Joe, the left fielder, cruising. They're going to send him, and he's going to jog in with a 2-run bomb, 4-0 highlights. That ball was smoked, folks. He got every stitch of that ball. So the other way you get underspin is if you take a baseball swing and you hit under the ball and you let go of your top hand. Then you get that underspin, and the same thing happens from a physics standpoint. The ball will carry. So here comes Scott. I'm sorry, this is Buzz. Scott just hit the 2-run homer. And he swings and he hits a high fly ball into the gap. Center fielder got there, though. Good jump there as Buzzy give it a ride, but the center fielder had a runaways for it, but got there. That'll bring up Gino Grande. So again, we've talked about relentless offense, and the highlights not disappointing, as they have been extremely focused this entire tournament. And they are just scoring a lot of runs. They're putting a lot of pressure on teams to try to hit with them. So nobody on, 2 outs, 4-0. And Gino throws a nice cut, and he gets to first base. Here comes Fred. And, you know, it's so easy to hit when everybody's swinging the bats. Now they're going to go courtesy runner. No? Yeah, they are. So Gino is going to run. So Scotty, who hit the 2-run bomb, as a reward, he's got a pinch run. That's harsh. So 4-0, 2 outs. And here comes Fred. So again, when you score in runs like the highlights are, it puts a lot of pressure on your opponent. So right now, I think Down and Dirty just looking to get out of this inning. Keep it at 4. Still a lot of ball game left. There's a little ground ball up the middle. Porter the scoop. But the shortstop a little late getting there. And Eric on the move couldn't handle the backhand pitch. So now you got first and second. And here comes Mike Reese, who was driving the ball earlier today in that winner's bracket championship game. So again, Down and Dirty needs to win twice to claim the title. And right now, here in the bottom of the first, trailing 4-0, they're going to have their work cut out for them. And Mike Reese cuts a ball, left fielder, can't make the catch. He got 2 hands on it, but as he hit the carpet, it popped loose. And it's 5-0, first and third. So Mike Reese, who was driving the ball to right field, cuts that ball to left. And it's 5-0. Highlights here. And here comes Tasso, the shortstop. And Tasso hits a ball right at the first baseman, and he'll beat the runner to first. But at the end of 1, 5-0 highlights.
Good inning. 5 runs, good innings. 5 runs, guys.
So again, that's an example of they bat 10 in that inning. They score 5. And they put a little pressure now on Down and Out to have to try to respond to that. And leading off is going to be Eric Coleman from Solutions. So we're having a fast start once again by this highlight team. They've been playing with the lead just about every game.
Hey, let's go, DJ.
So again, as a concession to the age and the wear and tear, we are playing 10 after 5. So the highlights right now leading 5-0. We talk about maintaining contact. So if you're this Down and Dirty team, you kind of want to try to get on the board here. Hope you can find a way to get an egg and then get back in. And Eric Coleman drives that ball. Good jump by Joe out there. And he gets to the gap as that ball hung up just a little bit. Shot out of the infield quick, but lost a little steam once it got out to the outfield, and sliding catch there by Joe. He's played a pretty good left field out there. Again, no slam on Gino, but when you see an outfielder who they were going to courtesy run for, here's Joe Irby, he's been swinging real good. You might want to try to take maybe a little advantage of Gino and right if you can. Of course, Gino's had some leg issues. And there's Joe Irby, another hit, as Joe has just been smoking the ball today. And he pounds that through the infield. So with 1 out, a base runner on for Down and Dirty. And here comes Hawk. So base runner on first. We're in the top of the second. 5-0 highlights, leading Down and Dirty. And there's a swing by Hawk to center. Joe Nixon is there. He'll put that away for the second out of the inning. So the ball was hit good by Hawk, but hit right at him. And here's Champ now with 2 outs. So Mike Reese, we saw him walk 3 in an inning, but he seems like he's back in the groove. Chris just throws it over. So at the end of an inning and a half, 5-0 highlights.
don't let up in here. Let's up in here.
So coming up here is going to be Chicken, Greg Paulson, and then Chris. So the highlights didn't quite turn their lineup over last inning, but
No real asking. Chicken, find your spot now. Come on.
so Chicken still can go get the ball in center field. Doesn't throw as well as he used to. He's had some shoulder issues. He's always been a pretty good cutter. High motor, one of the funnier guys you're going to meet in 16-inch softball. And there's a strike right there. Again, this is the 2019 swing and a spinner, and that ball is just going to go foul. And Bay couldn't quite bend over, but he got the soccer kick to make sure it stayed foul. Of course, this infield much drier than the one we saw in the CPS City Championship last night at Forest Park, where there were a couple of those spinners that died in the grass or in the dirt. So you could see Bay trying to bend over, just decided to kick it instead of touch it. And here's Chick, and he cuts a ball. Left fielder can't make the catch, and Chicken will be on with a base hit. So that ball didn't even make it to the grass, and these are big infields. And he got there. I don't know if transitioning from the grass to the dirt affected him. Got two hands on it. Couldn't make the catch. Now we're back to the top of the order with Greg Paulson. And again, another leadoff man on here for the highlight team. And Greg swings and hits a ground ball off of Joe Irby. Chicken takes the lead. And he does not try to go to third. So the first two hitters have reached safely. And we got first and second, nobody out here. And here's Chris. So we told you, nothing worse than when your team you're playing a team with good offense and you get a couple of fumbles. The ground ball to Irby's left hand was a little tougher play as the ball was hugging the ground. But I'm pretty sure the left fielder would tell you he should have had it. And Chris stays hot. That's going to score the sixth run. And Tasso jogs into third. And now we got 6-0 here. Still nobody out first and third. And here's Timmy Bulger. So you got Bulger, Joe, and then Scott. The middle of this lineup has been pounding the ball. And we talked about the highlights being all business this whole tournament. And right now they're plugged in. And there's a sky-high pop-up. Eric Coleman will make the catch for the first out of the inning. And here comes Joe Rogers, launched the ball over the center fielder's head his last time up. So the highlights, feeling good right now. And again, in a game like this, down and dirty would like to find a double play. And Joe Rogers hammers another ball. Center fielder makes the catch, but the seventh run is going to score there. And the center fielder did move back there. Didn't get fooled that time. He got a good angle on that ball, made it look routine. And here's Joe, who just absolutely launched one. And, folks, that left fielder out there is in another zip code. He's playing so deep. So Joe's been playing a good left field. He's been hammering the ball. And this time he skies a pop-up. Left fielder gets there, makes the catch, and that'll be the third out of the inning. But another 2 runs for the highlights. They push out to 7-0 at the end of 2.
I got it, Mike.
So now we're going to head to the top of the third. And there's no way to sugarcoat it. Down and dirty needs to score a couple of runs here because this game is about to get really out of control. We got Ballhead, Reggie, and Porter, 9, 10, and 11. Anybody gets on, cool. I would think at this point in the ball game, down 7, you might see a pinch hitter for Cool. Last game, Down and Dirty had used 4 pinch hitters in a row to get to their top of the lineup late in that ball game, and they ended up scoring a couple of runs that tightened that game up. And then in the 7th, they took care of business and put the Reed Plumbing Takers on ice. So here's Ballhead. Ballhead takes a ball. So again, top of the 3rd, 7-0. Highlights leading Down and Dirty. And there's a little roller. Mike Reese just shovels it. Safe. So Mike Reese, I thought he was going to try to kick it. A la Bay. Instead, he just slapped at it. Joe Rogers, a good stretch there, but the base runner Ballhead beats it out. Leadoff man on for Down and Dirty. And here's Reggie.
Hey, let's go. What do you think? Take Sherman out.
So Down and Dirty here gets the leadoff man on. Porter on deck. So again, we talked about in the Winners Bracket Championship, when you get to this part of the tournament, you need the bottom of your lineup to generate something at some point in the ballgame for you. Joe cruises over and makes that catch. So you need the bottom of your lineup to generate something and help you turn your lineup over. So Ballhead with the little roller did his job. He found a way on base. And here's Porter with Cool on deck.
Joe, be ready.
Come on, Mike Reese. Come on, Mike Reese.
Strike right now. No waiting here. Thank you.
Make him swing.
So we got a 3-0 count here. His home plate jumping around on Mike Reese again. Again, when you've had an inning like he had that one time, it gets into your head a little bit. When you start falling behind, it can affect you. But he works his way all the way back from 3-0. And Buzzy makes the catch at second.
Buzzy, nice hustle.
And that's going to bring up, they're going to let Cool hit here.
Hey, 2 outs. Get it
I know
in.
sometimes as a manager you think, hey, there's 2 outs. I don't want to waste a move. But when you're down 7-0 early, sometimes you want to get to your top and take a shot that they're going to keep hitting. But Cool, good-looking ball, just didn't get it elevated enough. And that'll be the end of the top of the 3rd, still 7-0. So the bad news is, if you're down and dirty, you're down 7-0 here, heading to the bottom of the 3rd. The good news is, if you can get an egg, you'll have the top of the lineup coming up in the top of the 4th. So coming up here now for
Hey, stop relaxing. Let's go.
coming up here now,
Stop relaxing.
it's going to be Buzzy leading off this inning. Be followed by Gino Grande and then Fred.
Buzz, got to see you in second.
So you hear Billy Barzowski trying to make sure his guys don't get complacent. And again, you don't want to wait around for teams. You kind of got down and dirty on their heels right now, so you'd like to just keep doing what you're doing, which is scoring 5 and 2,
Buzz, bring some hands.
5 in the first, 2 in the second, and just keep pushing out.
Hey, down and hard, bud.
And Buzzy swings and hits a knuckleball and it gets past the left fielder. So Buzzy hits a line drive. You can see he's really laboring. We told you in the winner's bracket championship game. Looked like he hurt his quad, but very high up, almost near the groin. And he's been gutting it out. It hasn't been stopping him from swinging a good bat, but you can tell he's really struggling with the running. So leadoff double as the highlights just keep on coming. And that'll bring up Gino Grande. And Gino hits a little spinner. W. Hop makes the play. And no ability for the runner to advance. So that's going to bring up Fred. Runner on second, 1 out. So if you're down and dirty, you need to find a way to get maybe through this inning with nothing. On deck, Mike Reese, who's been swinging it great. And there's a line drive up the middle, and that's going to score run number 8 as Freddie drives the ball up the middle. And that's going to bring up Mike Reese. I think if you're Kelly Patton, Charlie Talbert, if you have a backup pitcher, you may want to think about making a move here as the highlights are dialed in here. And again, a lot of times when I was coaching, the backup pitcher in a game like this didn't want to come in because of the way the other guy was swinging. But it's 8-0 here. 1 out, bottom of the third, highlights. And Mike Reese goes hard to right. There's a tag. Base runner's going to think a little better of it. 2 outs. So Mike tried to go big, got a little too much air under it. An easy play for the right fielder, and here's Tasso. As we're in the third inning here, and the highlights have been all business, 8-0. And there's a high pop-up. Center fielder started back, long run, but he gets there for the third out of the inning. But in the inning, the highlights push yet another run across, and they lead 8-0 as they've scored in all 3 innings so far in this national championship game. So the bright lights aren't affecting these guys as they're free swinging. And we're going to take a walk over here and give you a look at the trophies for first and second place. There'll also be an MVP. So we're looking at the back side of the trophies, but you can see very nice championship and second place trophy, MVP. There's George Bliss, Mickey Balestri. There's Bill, although I can't see him. I got to get over the pole. And, of course, our loyal fans that come out. So we'll give you guys a little different look here as this down and dirty team got a little work to do and a long fight uphill. So here's the leadoff man, Ralph. And he takes a strike, so nothing like a few hits and a couple of runs to get your team fired up. And there's a beautiful little slap right to the outfield, leadoff single. Here comes Craig. Of course, Craig, one of the more pleasant guys you're going to meet in softball. And Craig is a guy that likes to slap the ball through the infield. And there's a line drive, and it's going to sit and gets past Chicken a little bit. And they're going to hold the runner at third. So a beautiful double there, setting the table here for Bay now coming up. Second and third, nobody out here. Again, now if you're down and dirty, you want Bay to try to get a hit because you're chasing 8. A lot of times you're concerned about getting one in and getting one over. But this is a game where the score dictates that you change your approach here a little bit. So you can see Mike Reese trying to get him to bite on a low fastball. We talked about how Bay likes to hit the ball upstairs so he can tomahawk. And that ball is tomahawked right up the middle. Base hit. And down and dirty cracks the seal, 8-1. Still nobody out. Here comes W. Hop, the first baseman.
This is the guy who beat us in the first game, yeah.
So nice job of hitting there by Bay. He didn't try to do too much. And, of course, Bay's been doing that forever. He's always been one of the tougher hitters, and he's so unorthodox in that he's in the front of the box there. And, of course, Chicago-style softball, when we're playing on dirt, we really don't have a batter's box normally. So big spot in the game here, first and third run in. And there's a missile. Buzzy bobbles it. He's not going to be able to get anybody, you can see. And now the runner at second, courtesy runner Porter, sneaks into third, 8-2. So Buzzy there was kind of off balance. He's got a bad leg. He tried to just flip it to Joe Rogers, but that allowed the runner to go to second. So again, that's tough. Highlights don't really have another infielder on their bench, so he's trying to gut it out over there. Good heads-up running by Porter to scurry into third. And here's Eric. So it's 8-2 now, first and third, nobody out. And Eric swings and he hits it to Buzzy, goes down on a knee, makes the play, but the third run scores and Eric Coleman jogs into second. So we got an 8-3 ball game, one out, and here's Joe Irby, who's been on fire. So this is what the doctor ordered if you're a down and dirty fan, is they've put up 3. And Joe Irby smokes a ball to third. Mike drops it down, no play. But by knocking it down, may have saved a run. So now we got first and second with one out. And down and dirty, after being kind of flat the first 3 innings, has come out swinging the lumber. And here's Joe.
Heads up, everyone, huh?
I'm sorry, this is Hawk.
Nice start.
So down and dirty, been hitting the ball much better this inning. 2-0. Hawk is working the count here. And that's a strike. So Mike Reese, after falling behind 2-0, grabs a couple of strikes. And there's a little chopper to second, and Buzzy isn't going to be able to get there. Again, on a bad leg, the ball was really not hit very hard. And Mike Reese jumped over to the third base side. So little roller loads them up here, and here comes Champ. A ball in the gap here could really change the complexion of this ball game. And there's a swing and a little flare, and that's going to be out of play. So this is a good inning here. If you're down and dirty with one out here and a runner on third, you want to get at least one more. But again, the way the highlight team is swinging the bats, you also got to take that into account when you're deciding whether you want your hitter to move guys or whether to go for a hit. And my guess is that they've told him to go ahead and swing. No.
Sorry. Strike, Mike. Let's go. There you go.
So there's a strike. Sometimes when a pitcher's got trouble, you have that tendency to take a lot of pitches. And there's a little flare, and Buzzy can't get to it. They throw to second, not in time. Another run scores. Now we got an 8-4 ball game. Bases are still loaded. And it looks like Charlie Talbert is going to maybe pinch hit for somebody. So Charlie Talbert is going to pinch hit. Still only one out in this inning. Is down and dirty. Got 4 runs in already. Top of the fourth, 8-4 in the national championship game. Of course, if down and dirty wins, they'll have to play another one. And Charlie swings a little ground ball to Tasso. He'll go to short way. They get a run, but meantime, Joe Irby scores the 5th run of the inning. And down and dirty,
Hey! 2 outs!
and I believe this is Reggie. So Reggie now hitting first and second with 2 outs, 5 runs in here. As down and dirty has exploded and gotten themselves back into the ballgame. And Reggie swings and hits it out to Joe, and he's going to get there with a basket catch. So as we head to the bottom of the fourth, 5 run spot there for down and dirty, and they get back into the ballgame as they make this 8-5. So here comes highlights. They've been free swinging the whole tournament. We'll keep an eye and see how they react here. Being challenged all of a sudden after cruising along at 8-0, down and dirty jumps up with a 5 spot to make this a ball game again. And we wouldn't expect anything else. Our championship games, since we've started running these 50 and over national championship tournaments, have been fantastic. So here we go. We got Chicken and then the top, Greg Paulson and then Chris. So the highlight top of their order has been spectacular the whole tournament. Of course, last year when Crush Softball won, they had Bradle and Pellegrino at the top, and those guys were ridiculous. And Chicken hits the ball over the left fielder's head. He's going to cruise, and he's going to try to go to third, and he's going to make it with a stand-up triple. So that's a case where last time up, Chicken hit a little cut ball that didn't even make the outfield grass. The left fielder cheated him, and it wasn't that he launched it, but the left fielder was so shallow he had no shot. And here's a pinch hitter, Mike, coming in for Greg Paulson. So leadoff triple has the highlights set up to maybe get a run back. And Mike swings and he gets a base hit. Little fumble, and Mike's going to try to go to second. He's going to make it. So that's an example, kids. We talk all the time. When you get a hit, don't admire it. Run hard and make a hard turn. Left fielder had a little bit of a problem picking the ball up and allowed Mike to go into second base. If you're jogging and admiring your handiwork, you don't get to take that base. So 9-5 now as the highlights get one of those runs back. And here's Chris. So we talked about how good the top of the part of the batting order has been for the highlights, and they just keep pounding the ball. So it looks like Chris had an idea going to right field there. So again, Cool has not really fooled anybody. I don't know if Down and Dirty has a backup pitcher, but and there's a good pitch. And there's a pop-up. Porter makes the catch. And that'll be the first out of the inning.
1 out, Bill Wright.
And that's going to bring up Timmy Bulger with 1 out and a runner on second.
We got you, kiddo. Timmy's got you. Come on, Timmy, big base hit. Big base hit. We got you guys. We got you guys. You got it.
And there's a strike. That pitch a little heavy. And there's a swing and a fly ball by Bulger. Center fielder, long run. He won't get there. That's going to score to 10. No, they hold Mike up at second. He'd have scored easily on the play, but they held him. Looked like he was going to go, and all of a sudden the coach put up the stop sign. And that's going to bring up Joe Rogers. First and third one out, 9-5.
Relax, boys. Don't be choking your chicken.
Jimmy 1 out. Jimmy 1 out.
So, sun peeking through here So we've alternated between a couple of clouds and the sunshine. Kind of prefer the clouds. So Joe Rogers, 3-0 count. It's cool trying to pitch very carefully to him. And there's a strike, 3-1. Looked like Joe Rogers was taken all the way there. Of course, with Joe on deck, who's been murdering the ball. Or Scott, I should say. And there is ball 4. So that'll load the bases with 1 out. And here comes Joe. So I get pitching carefully to Joe Rogers, but this guy behind him has been doing as much or more damage. So you can see Cool was trying to keep that pitch up in the air. He didn't want to flatten out, but I think that's the wrong approach with Joe. I think you're better off throwing him a little flatter and trying to sneak the strike over the plate and make him go down and get it. Joe loves to hit the ball above his head. So here's Scott, the left fielder. And Joe swings and he smokes a humpback. 1 run is in, and they hold Bulger at third. 10-5. Bases still loaded. And we got a pinch hitter, Billy Barzowski, hitting for Buzzy. Of course, Buzzy on a bad leg here. And Billy swings, ground ball, it sneaks through. 1 run scores, 11-5, bases are still loaded. So it looked like Down and Dirty had pulled their infield in. And as a result, the second baseman just had no angle to get to that, and it rolled through the infield. And now they're going to make the pitching change. 11-5. So they had closed to within 8-5. In the highlights, we were wondering how they were going to respond. And they come right back and put 3 up, and they got the bases loaded here with 1 out. As the last couple of hitters have gotten base hits, and it's like Chinese water torture. Drip, drip, drip. They just keep going a base at a time, but they're adding runs. So here's Gino Grande. So new pitcher in the ball game. So 1 out here, 11-5. We told you these guys were relentless, and they just keep swinging the bats. So 2-0 here, new pitcher. Gino working the count a little bit. He grabs a strike there. And that's way inside. And Gino takes a walk. And that forces in the 4th run of the inning, 12-5. And here comes Fred. So with 1 out here, if they score a run, they will have regained that 8-run lead. So home plate jumping around on the new pitcher a little bit. And that's going to be illegal, a little heavy. Way inside. Now, if I'm the highlights, as soon as this kid throws me a strike, I'm going up there hacking. And there's a long one to left, right. Basket catch, everybody tags. And Mike takes, and Billy Barzowski going to try to score. And he makes it. Now the ball's bouncing around. Gino Grande will stop at third. So a long fly ball, the double tag, puts 2 more on the board. 14-5 here in the bottom of the 5th. So long fly ball there by Fred. They score 2 on that out. And now it's 14-5 with 1 out here in the bottom of the 4th. So again, the throw was a little bit offline. Tough play for Bay there. Couldn't make it. And I don't think they would have been able to tag because the throw was on the first base side of home plate. He would have had to try to reach around, and there was no way for him to get to the front edge of the plate from there and get a tag even if he handled it. So here's Mike Reese. And there's a chopper. That's going to be the 3rd out of the inning. But in the inning, they score 6 to take a 14-5 lead. And we'll head to the top of the 5th. 14-5 highlights, leading down and dirty. So it's going to be Porter. I assume they're going to let the new pitcher swing unless they re-enter cool. And then the top. Although they got bodies over there, so they're more than capable of pinch hitting. So here's Porter playing short center in this ball game. And I do see somebody getting loose over there for down and dirty. Little pop-up. Chicken is there. He puts it away in medium center field.
Hey, new hitter! New hitter!
So again, this is the top half of the 5th, 14-5. If you're down and dirty, you need to score a couple of runs because the way the highlights are swinging, they might be able to end the game, and they'll have Tasso and Chicken leading off and then the top. So we got a pinch hitter. And there's a ball that hits the plate. And there's a little roller. And, Gino Grande, who's now moved to the infield,
Where's the sniper?
couldn't make the play as Gino started. Joe Rogers had no chance to slam the brakes on.
You want this team to win.
Hey, man, you're the manager. You can kick anyone. You could have kicked any player or person off of your bench you want, man. So Charlie Talbert always having a good time, coming over to give us a hard time. And there's a swing and a fly ball, and Billy Bargadowski makes the catch. Looked like a little self-mutilation there as he bounced around. So Billy Barzowski, an adventure in right field, but he makes the catch for the 2nd out. And I can guarantee you he'll get a little ribbing when he comes in. And here comes Craig. So 2 outs here, runner on first for down and dirty. As some of the formality is leaving the proceedings as the teams are starting to have a good time here. And there's a strike. And there's a swing and a little fly ball, and Billy Barzowski off his chest as he's stumbling around out there, and he throws it in. Down and Dirty plates their 6th run of the game. So Billy Barzowski having a little trouble staying on his feet out there, brings up Bay, and we'll see if they try to pick on Billy Barzowski a little bit more. Billy got there okay, but the ball hit off his chest and then hit the carpet. So with 2 outs, 14-6, runner on second.
Hey, 2 outs. Infield, at least knock it down.
And Bay swings, and he goes right after Barzowski, and that ball will fall for a hit. Billy just couldn't get there. Did a good job of keeping the ball in front, but Bay slapped it out there. And now he'll get a courtesy, 14-7. It's going to bring up W. Hop.
Hey, watch the gap. Got pop.
So Down and Dirty swung the bats much better the last couple of innings, taking advantage of a couple of miscues. Plated a couple of runs here to cut it to 7. And there's a line drive as they go back to right field again. Runner's going to get to third, and they're going to send him, and he's going to score the 8th run of the inning, 14-8. So again, Gino Grande was in right field. He had to come into the infield because of the leg injury to Buzzy. And here's Eric Coleman. So now you got a runner on first, 14-8 with 2 outs. As Down and Dirty's responded with a 3 spot. And they're chipping into this lead. They got it down to 6.
Come on, Mike.
2-0 here. And Eric Coleman pounds it at Gino Grande. He gets the bell tie hop, and he makes the play. So we're going to head to the bottom of the 5th now. Highlights leading by 6. It should be Tasso Chicken in the top, I believe. So Billy Barzowski, forced to play the outfield, had a very interesting inning. Doesn't mean a thing here if Down and Dirty can't find a way to get a clean inning, as Highlights have scored in all 4 innings of this ball game. So you got 10-11 coming up. If you're Down and Dirty, you'd like to get both of these guys out because their top has really been swinging it, and you really don't want them coming up with base runners. I got to go back and check the scores of this tournament, but I don't know if this highlight team has scored less than 14 in a game out here. There's a pitch inside. Again, if you're a hitter, you want to make this backup pitcher throw strikes. And there's a ground ball. Eric can't make the play. Leadoff man on yet again for the Highlights. Of course, Eric, not a shortstop by trade. We've seen him play a lot of short center and a lot of third base. So he's being asked to play in a slot he's not used to. And here's Chicken. Chicken barely cut one over the infield, and then he beat the left fielder. And there's a harder ball, and no, it goes off the left fielder's chest. So Chicken hit that ball pretty firm. Left fielder on a dead sprint might overrun it just a tad. The ball hit him in his upper right part of his chest near his shoulder, and it drops. So yet again, the first 2 guys on for this highlight team. And here's Mike, second at-bats that's entering the game, and he whistled a hard humpback down the left field line his last time up. Now he goes the other way. Little ground ball, a little fumble. They'll get Chicken the lead runner. First and third, one out. And here comes Chris. And, of course, Tim Bulger, Joe, and Scott looming. And these guys have done big damage the whole tournament. And there's a swing and a ball hit toward the gap. That's going to sit. One run is in. Mike Cruz in the third. They'll shut him down there. But Chris stays on fire, drives in another run, 15-8. First and third, one out there. As he just went up there, got that pitch, and hit a semi-knuckleball into the gap in right center. And here's Tim Bulger. So, again, the highlights just relentless. They got to 15 in the winter bracket championship game, and they're already at 15 here in the fifth. 20 to Tim Bulger. That's a little long, 30. A walk here would load the bases yet again for the highlights. And there's a strike right there. Now, Tim Bulger is a pretty aggressive hitter. I think if he throws him a lazy strike, and there you go. I was just about to say, he isn't waiting. So Timmy Bulger drives in the 16th run. 16-8 here, bottom of the fifth. And here's Joe Rogers. So this is about as Crush Softball pounded the ball last year in this tournament, and this might even be more impressive than what Crush did last year on their way to the national championship. So again, 16-8 here. Joe Rogers hammers a base hit. That's going to score the 17th run. Timmy Bulger will stop at second, 17-8. And here comes Joe. We told you the top of their lineup has just been fantastic. And again, this was a good job by the bottom. We talked about how the bottom of your lineup in games like this has got to help you, and they have. So here's Joe. Or Scotty, excuse me, the left fielder.
Big run here, Scott. Come on, kid.
So, and there's a ball, so that'll load him up. And here's Billy Barzowski, who came in for Buzzy. That 10th run, sitting at third base. This is a tough spot here. And he hits a line drive right at Porter. So that's a situation where you want to elevate the ball. And here comes Gino Grande, who's been on fire. Again, this is the 2019 SSA Men's 50 and Over National Championship Tournament live from Bulger Park. SSA broadcast sponsored by Napleton Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram at River Oaks. So 2 outs here. Gino Grande hits a little chopper. Eric will go to short way. And we'll head to the top of the 6th, 17-8. So down and dirty avoids the potential mercy rule there as they get through that inning. And now they make a change. Billy Barzowski's going to come play second base. and Gino Grande going back to right field.
Don't change the channels just yet. We're still here. Barely, but we still
Is
here.
that a prediction? Is that a prediction?
We still here. That's a fact.
And not yet.
But anything can happen.
Anything can happen. Joe Irby, who's been on fire.
Stranger things has happened.
Joe Irby's been on fire leading off here. He'll be followed by Hawk and Champ. And Joe Irby, oh, the left fielder can't hold on. So Joe Irby on base again. He almost didn't run down the line, but he got there in time. And here comes Hawk. Leadoff man on now.
Chris, you and Billy.
And Hawk swings and he hits it, and Joe goes back and Scott goes back and makes the catch.
GG. GG likes you, brother.
So that's the first out of the inning.
Gonna be in front of you.
And here comes Champ. One out runner on first. Again, down and dirty, needs to string some hits together. And there's strike two. See Charlie doing some calisthenics over there, doing his best YMCA impersonation. There's a little flare. Again, 2 strikes. You heard a lot of the highlight guys saying, let it go. So that's 2 outs there, as he already had 2 strikes on him. And here comes Ballhead. And he pounds it on the ground. Billy Barzowski can't make the play, as he tried to throw it over there left-handed. Couldn't get the runner. Ballhead is safe, and here comes Reggie. 17-8, 2 outs, first and third. And it looks like he might have pulled a groin as he hit the bag a little funny. So apparently that was a pinch hitter. So 2 outs for Reggie. Still 17-8. Down and dirty, trying to scratch here with 2 outs and trying to put a couple up there. And there's a high fly ball. Scott comes in, he puts it away. So we're getting ahead here to the bottom of the 6th, 17-8.
Nice job, guys. Nice job.
Hey, let's go!
So it should be Fred, Reese, and Tasso coming up here. Highlights looking for a run here. Leading 17-8 and trying to short circuit the rest of the ball game.
Let's go, Freddie. Slide us. Hey, Charlie, what are you wondering where you should go? We got the hammer. Let's do it. I think you were left out.
So Charlie Talbot coming into the ball game.
Hey, just that base, Freddie. Just that base.
And we see a down and dirty player with his bag jogging up.
Let's go, Freddie. It starts with you.
Young man must have been working, as that's Antoine Thrash coming in. He's going to pitch right out of the car. And, of course, Antoine got honored as a Wall of Fame member this year by the 16-inch Softball Hall of Fame. If you haven't been out there, located at Forest Park right by the fields. So, Antoine, good dude. When we told him he was on the Wall of Fame, I thought he was going to break down. We had a nice interview with him. And one of the true gentlemen playing the game. Of course, longtime Solution pitcher with Jerry Brown. So he's going to take some warm-ups here and get ready. And, you know, we did see the first game we did with Down and Dirty that he was on the lineup card, but we didn't see him here. And
Go, Freddie, stay hot.
Antoine, a good, solid pitcher. Kind of a lagger, as we say, where he delivers the ball with his palm down. Although the way the highlights are swinging at this weekend and the whole tournament, I don't know if any pitcher would have really made a difference. I mean, Jeff Hernandez, one of the best, and they beat Jeff up a little bit. So here we go with Fred, Reese, and Tasso coming up. Highlights hunting for a run. Down and Dirty, hoping to get to the 7th and see if they got any magic. And there's a little ground ball. Thresh will pick that up. Low throw. Good job there by W. Hop there. Got kind of an ankle biter, a little slider. Here's Mike Reese.
Come, Mikey!
So we'll show you the post game. Going to hand out a little hardware if this score holds. We'll have some pictures up later for you guys. This is the 2019 SSA Men's 50 and Over National Championship Tournament live from Bulger Park, Veterans Park District out at Melrose Park. And there's a walk with one out here. Puts a base runner on for Tasso.
Buzz, if we take the field, you go to second.
So you might have heard that in the background. They're going to reinsert Buzzy. They got him off his feet for a couple of innings.
Now's the time, baby. Win it for me, baby.
And one out. Runner on first here. And Tasso swings and he drills it. Joe Irby, a nice place for the force out. Joe Irby caught a ball, smoked right over third base and threw a strike to Porter as he was falling down. Turn not in time as Tasso was hustling down the line, but they get that lead run, the 10th run at second base on a fielder's choice, and here's Chicken. So Charlie Talbert called timeout. I think he's going to switch the center fielder and the left fielder as they're trying to figure a way to get Chicken out as he's been swinging a good bat. He's been torturing these guys between the soft cuts and the harder hit balls. And there he was just trying to flip it down the left field line. Nice catch there by Bay, coaching over there. 2 outs here. Tasso will be running on the swing at first. And Joe just hits a little roller. Joe Irby picks it up. High throw in time.
All right, let's go. Hey, just play defense.
So Down and Dirty does survive and get to the 7th. But they're down 9 runs. And if you're the highlight crew, you're chasing outs here. So as we always talk about, you don't want to get the other guy excited. You're just chasing outs. You want to make the simple play and count it down. As they're 3 outs away from winning the 2019 50 and over national championship tournament put on here by the SSA. Live stream sponsored by Napleton Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram at River Oaks. Go talk to Ray Zarnick or Tiny. Tell them you saw the broadcast. They love helping out softball people, and they'll get you in any type of vehicle you need.
Hey, 11-12 top, Reese.
So here's Charlie Talbert. We seen you doing calisthenics. I thought that was your YMCA routine. I thought you were going YMCA on me there. Had a little Village people in you there.
First time in today.
So we're having a little fun with Charlie. I would advise you to keep your day job. And there's a pinch hit by P-Funk, and he throws it into a gap. And that splits him. So P-Funk lumbering in. He's going to go to third with a stand-up triple. So P-Funk drives the ball into right center for a stand-up triple. So the big guy got to third, lead-off triple. Again, now if you're the highlights, you don't really care too much about it. You got a 9-run lead. You just want to go, and they're making fun of the fact that P-Funk lost his hat. So Charlie Talbert said you got to cover that up. Here comes Doba. He's going to pinch hit, so they're going with some pinch hitters here. Leadoff man on, triple. It's a good start. Again, if you're the highlights, you're not too worried about that at this point. You just want to try to take these outs off the board. And Doba swings, and he hits one right over our head into the highlight dugout. And again, when you're down by 9, there's no reason to stress. You just go up there and you free swing and hit your best ball. And Doba swings and does hit his best ball, and he just drives it through an open hole to make it 17-9. So the down and dirty offense has come to life a little bit the last 2 games. But in this particular game, they've run into a team that has just been a buzzsaw offensively. So we got a re-entry. Here comes Ralph, the leadoff man. So with nobody out and a run in here, the bottom of the order for down and dirty did their job here to get to their top. Now you just got to keep stringing hits as the sun's kind of gone away and it's getting a little overcast.
Hey, let's go.
So the highlights in search of 3 outs. Down and dirty, hoping they can hit for about 20 minutes. And there's a little ground ball. Paulson will go to short wave for 1. And you saw Chris there. Now, didn't want to make the crazy throw to first. Keeps the force out in the double play in order. 1 out. Top of the 7th, 17-9. Highlights chasing a national championship, leading down and dirty.
Joe, Buzz, and Gino, 3 times here.
And that ball hits the plate. Of course, Craig, we talked about him. He moves the ball around. Craig, running the Silent Assassins, does a great job with them. They're a nice group of young men that we love having at our events. And he swings and he punches the ball, and Gino Grande can't get there, but it'll drift foul. So you can see this is what happens in 50 and over. Even though this is only the highlight second game, Buzzy got hurt early, and we talked about Gino Grande. He's had some leg injuries in the past, so he's laboring a little bit. And Billy Barzowski comes out and uses a mound visit.
Hey, up the middle twice, once to right. New hitter, never mind, new hitter.
So that was a strikeout for the second out. And this looks like a pinch hitter here. So 2 outs. Highlights 1 out away, and there's a ball driven, and Chicken can't make the catch. So the pinch hitter comes through. He keeps the game alive. LB with the big hit.
Come on, Mo.
Hey, good pop here.
Here's W. Hop now, 17-10. Runner on second with 2 outs. Highlights still chasing that elusive third out here.
Way to go, Al. Hit well.
And again, Chicken kind of flattened out on his route there. Last minute had to kind of jump and threw his hands up. He got 2 hands on it, but he was in an awkward position. And there's a swing and another base hit. And they're going to throw the ball into second, and I don't know what happened there. It looked like Scott stepped in a hole over there, but he's okay. Yeah. But he popped right up. Meanwhile, 17-11 is down and dirty, just kind of trying to sneak back into this ball game. And here comes Eric now with 2 outs. A lot of times you'll hear teams say, put it on the next guy. And again, this is free swing time. You're just trying to barrel up and hit your best ball. 17-11. And Eric swings, little pop-up, and Scott makes the catch. And the highlights are your 2019 SSA men's 50 and over national champions. They were the best team all tournament, as they were just relentless offensively. Down and dirty, fought to the end, but just didn't have an offense to compete with what the highlights were putting on there. And it didn't matter what part of the lineup, where they were at, they just continued to pound the ball. So we'll figure out who the MVP is as they bring the hardware out. Charlie. So you see it was a good weekend. So down and dirty, home plate, please. So down and dirty, we're going to show you they're going to get their hardware. We'll figure out who the MVP is. So here's down and dirty here. We're going to show you they're going to take their picture. Of course, those trophies are awful heavy, folks. So we're going to take the picture here. Good-looking squad here. Where's the trophy?
No photos.
There you go. There's P-Funk wearing an SSA shirt. Love to see it. And there you go, folks. These are your runner-up. 50 and over SSA men's 50 and over national championship tournament. Down and dirty from Washington Park. Terrific weekend. Great effort. And you can see. Good job. Nice job. You guys played great all weekend. So now we'll see what we're going to see your national champion highlights as they're putting on their national championship hats. and we'll get the picture and we'll find out who the MVP is. And then we'll try to get an interview as we're taking pictures. And here they are, the national champs. As you can see, they got those outstanding hats. These are your men's 2019 SSA 50 and over national champions. They just pounded the ball all weekend. They were relentless. And they did a great job. So you can see they're gathering. And then we'll grab Pat Caputo for the announcement of the MVP. So there you go. So those hats are great. Then we'll get Pat Caputo to announce the MVP.
Hey, great job, fellas. Thank you very much. I hope we do this again next year. We got some. I got something else to give you guys too. But great job. I mean, I wish we would have had a chance to play you, but we weren't that good. But thank you very much. I do want to say we do give an MVP trophy out to everybody, or to an MVP to everybody, because all you guys were MVPs today. But this year's 50 and over national MVP is Chris Miller.
Chris Miller. We told you he was on fire, and Chris is your MVP.
Great job. Great job. Get a boy, Chris.
Hey,
Nice job.
can we get a picture of Chris?
Yeah, Chris, we'll get a picture of you again too. Hey, thanks. If you guys, he's getting rid of T-shirts over there for a fin, $5.
Yeah, we'll take it, Chris. Let me get a couple of words from you. You know, well, you know what? Your whole club was on fire, and I made a couple of comments that you were just pounding the ball, man. How do you feel, man?
I feel great. You know, don't always hit like that, but it's, you know, a great group of guys. Glad they asked me to play. It was a fun tournament. My first 50 and over tournament. It'll always be remembered. So anybody on this team could have won this trophy. Everybody hit great. Everybody played great. So it was a team win.
Yeah, well, you guys, we noticed even last year when Crush won, you know, it's always hard to pick an MVP because you guys were just relentless the whole weekend. I mean, did you score less than 15 in a game?
No. 2 weeks ago, I think we scored over 20 runs. Scored like, over 15, 16 runs every game. You know, it's a testament to the guys on the team. They all hit great. They all played great. It's a team win. It's a team game.
And there you go. You got your MVP right there. Kind words for the rest of the club. And like we said, they were relentless. And I'm sure they're going to go out and enjoy the rest of the day. So for the SSA, Napleton Chrysler Dodge Jeep, hey, let me talk to my guy Joe Irby. Hey, Joe, you were pretty impressive, man. You were crushing the ball all weekend, too.
I just was trying to hit the ball hard, you know. We came up short. It don't matter.
Well, you guys never really gave up. You kept fighting, and you made a spectacular play there in the bottom of the sixth inning to get the force out. That was pretty sweet.
I mean, it came right to me. So, I mean, it was nothing. We still lost, man. We should have, I don't know, good game, you know. Hats off to them. Them guys played. We didn't. And,
well, you didn't backdoor your way in to get back to the championship because you beat a pretty good Takers team. And you guys were pretty tight all weekend, so it was a good effort on your team part.
Yeah, we fought our ways back to finally take over Takers, and we just failed up short, man. This East Cat here, man. That's the way it falls sometimes.
Okay, that's Joe Irby from Down and Dirty. And
I know you don't want to interview. You don't want to interview.
well, I'll talk to you, Charlie. I'll talk to Charlie. So you guys tried. You guys had a great tournament. But that team was swinging the bats.
They hit pretty well. I mean, where's Bliss? Bliss, can you interview me over here?
Nah.
You need to take it easy.
That guy had
Red
those
City
guys.
won't be on any games of the week.
Nah.
Highlights played great all day. They put it on us the first game, and they didn't let up the second game. So hats off to those guys. Can't take anything away from them.
Well, you guys represented really well. I thought you guys played pretty good all weekend, but I don't think anybody was beating that team in this tournament.
Yeah, I agree with that. They played well. They came out wanting it all tournament. I mean, even the games that they played previously, they put it on teams pretty good, I think, over the course of the tournament.
Well, you had a nice team out here, too, and it looked like you guys were together and really competing hard, so there's no shame in that.
No, it's not. I'm proud of these guys, man. I mean, everybody got a chance to compete, got an opportunity to be on this stage, and I think overall, man, that's what it's about.
Well, I don't think the fans got to see that running man thing. How about giving us a little on the way out? There you go, the running man. Yeah. Charlie Talbot, always a good interview. Thanks, Charlie.
All right, man.
So we're just having fun. Unfortunately, a lot of the. So we'll go talk to. Hey, Gino, let me talk to you for a minute. So you win the Glenview League, and now you come out and you win a national championship. How you feeling?
Oh, feeling great. Finally, after 35 years with these guys, we won something that means something to us. You know, at our age, it's hard to win something with the younger guys. So hey, let's try the older guys. Let's try winning it with the older guys.
Well, I got to tell you, I don't know if anybody on your team hit under 500. It just seemed like it didn't matter where you were in the lineup, who was coming up. You guys were just relentlessly pounding the ball, getting guys on and scoring runs.
It was a good weekend for us, even though 2 weeks ago we were on fire. So we're hoping we didn't cool down for this weekend. So it's great to continue the hitting.
Well, it's weird. Usually guys get hurt on defense. I think you guys were getting hurt because you were running around the bases so much.
Yeah, that's about it. So okay, go ahead.
So there's Gino Grande, man. Always a pleasure as he came out and he had a great weekend. And here's another guy, the right fielder, or left fielder. You had a great weekend, not only catching the ball, but you were pounding it as well.
Thanks. Hey, you know what? This is my first time playing with the highlights. Great group of guys, a lot of fun. You know, with 2 weeks in between games, you never know if it's going to carry over, but we hit the ball all 4 games. It was awesome.
Well, your defense was actually pretty good for the most part, but when you're scoring 15 and above, you put a lot of pressure on these teams.
Oh, absolutely. It makes it a lot easier when you're continuing to score runs. We were starting to fall apart a little bit there. I don't think anyone wanted to play another game, but that was awesome. A lot of fun.
So there you go, the left fielder for the highlights, Scott. I got criticized because I called you Joe a few times. So
I got called worse.
Yeah, he said I got called worse. So we're done here out in Melrose Park, but the SSA isn't done for the season, folks. We'll be out in Las Vegas at Desert Breeze Park for the 4th annual, or it could be the 5th annual, Las Vegas Getaway Big Ball Tournament run by Ron Matriciano, 14 teams. So we're going to be out there. We're going to be doing a little live streaming from Vegas. I don't know what the weekend schedule is and when they might be doing the draw out there, but if we're out in Vegas when they do the draw, we'll probably live stream that. I know Ronnie likes to have a team get-together on Friday for the teams that are in town. So if you're going to Vegas and planning on participating, keep your eye out for that, as it's always a lot of fun to see guys from other states and teams come out and to Las Vegas for that event. And again, that is a double elimination tournament. We got teams coming in from California, Arizona, Vegas. I think we got a team, and that's about as quiet as I've ever seen this guy. So,
Hey, make sure you film that one.
So they got $5 T-shirts over here. Mike James, go to his website, Skyrider. Skyridershirts.com. He's got a lot of SSA merchandise. There's George Bliss. George, give us some thoughts on the way out.
Chris Miller's 9 or 10 hits in a row. He's played on the major teams for years, and I always say this, he's Mark Forgetto's brother, so that's important. But Bay Johns on Down and Dirty, tremendous, almost held the whole team together. You got some great players out here. Some of these line drives, Scotty Newkirk, Angelo Alicia, Takers took third. All these guys. This is fun. This is more fun to watch than the major level. I just feel that way. But anyway, great job. We're going to see you Monday night at Forest Park, everybody. Thank you for watching. We're going to be having the media championship between WGN Radio, AM 720, with Justin Kaufman, he's our captain, versus the Chicago Reader team. So, Gio, you're going to be there with me. It should be a lot of fun. I'll see you there.
All right, thanks, George. That's George Bliss. He did yeoman's work fighting a bad back today. He live streamed a couple of games. And so yeah, I almost forgot to mention that. We'll be back at Forest Park with the Media League, so that should be a lot of fun. And we'll be doing some live streaming and interviewing of people during that event. And it should be an awful good time there as well. We got the big ball tournament coming up, and Sal Milazzo is already working hard on getting the Dome League together. And I know we're kicking around the idea. We're trying to see what the Dome League schedule is to see if we can get ourselves maybe a weekend to run a tournament in the Dome this fall. And so we'll see how that works out. But for SSA broadcast, Napleton Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram at River Oaks, on behalf of the entire SSA board, George Bliss, Patty Caputo for putting this event on. This is Gio, live from Bulger Park, signing off, and we'll talk to you soon.